So we're gonna do some weeding in the garden, or in the front yard here. And what I have here is some tools, just for digging up weeds, cutting. And I got my shoes on. I got my work shoes on, so I can get dirty. And so we're gonna go, and what we have is we have some trees out front that are being choked off by these weeds. And so in order for them to grow, we need to get those weeds out of there. And that's what I'm gonna do. And I gotta shut the gate, make sure the dog doesn't get out. Okay, so here's those trees, and you can see they're doing pretty good, but they're not quite growing as much as they can because of all these weeds here. So we're just gonna get started on this. And sometimes you gotta really break up this ground here. It's really tough. You gotta take like something like this, like a screwdriver, and just, you know, get it in there and push that up, loosen that dirt up, and then you can, you know, grab a little more. And so once you're getting like a lot of the weeds clear and you've got all this dirt here, you don't want to stop there. You want to kind of sift through the dirt and try to grab some more weeds, you know, and just keep filtering that dirt as deep as you can and getting those roots out of there, and every piece of little trash and debris, and just breaking up those dirt clods and getting that dirt aerated. And it seems like there's some dogs barking over here. Oh, so just keep that going. Keep the process going. Keep weeding. So when you haven't weeded in a while, you really got a lot of work. A lot of weeds. When you're not weeding consistently, when you're not taking the time to weed, the weeds will grow. They will grow. So now we've got a lot of weeds, and we will weed these. We will weed these. We just have to be persistent. It's a lot of work in the beginning, but that's what we get for waiting until our trees are choked by the weeds. You know, the funny thing about these boundaries, you know, you put these little dividers up around the area, and you think it's going to hold the weeds out, but these little boundaries here, well, they're just nothing but for looks, I guess, you know, because we still get the weeds going in there, you know. You think if you lay some like weed cover, or this is like a ground cover here, that's going to keep the weeds out. But see, the thing is, when you let it sit for a long time, no amount of boundaries, no amount of weed cover or other precautions are going to keep the weeds out. So here we are, weeding. So now we've filled up our bucket of weeds, and we've got to toss this bucket. We've got to empty this bucket out so that we can continue to weed. So we have to stop weeding to go and empty our bucket so that we can continue to weed. So now we got our empty bucket and we can go back and we can start weeding again. So one of the sad things about weeding is you see these Elysium here are just totally consumed with weeds, and it's just way too difficult to separate the weeds from the Elysium. So sadly, these flowers are going to have to come out with the weeds. And the only flowers that are going to be able to remain are those that can be distinctly separated from these weeds. And then, of course, later on, we will be hoping that these flowers grow back, which I believe they will. They always do, right? All right. And there's another stone. We're going to have to remove this stone out from here while we weed. But that's okay. We can put the stones back later. But right now the stones are just in our way. So we need to get everything that's in our way out of the way and just go at it and just get these weeds out of here. And then every piece. So I'm out front here, I'm weeding, and neighbor walks by, says, "You're doing a really good job there weeding." She says, "I could really tell the difference." And that's another thing about weeding, especially when you're out in the front yard. You're going to see people, they're going to see you, they're going to see that you're weeding, and people are going to notice a difference. People will notice a difference when you weed. But we have to keep weeding because that's the only way to keep the weeds away, is to keep weeding. But that's life, right? Sometimes when I'm weeding, I start to laugh because, darn it, I'm weeding, and these weeds are going to be gone. And it's so refreshing. It's so good to weed, to get rid of the weeds. Okay, so now I just about weeded around the whole area. So I've got the middle of the area, which is actually the heart of the area here. Now I can get to that because I've weeded all around there. Now I can get to that. So I had to weed around the outside here to get into there. So now I can go into the heart of this, and I can really start pulling these weeds out now. So we're gonna go to it. Weeds be gone. So, all right. Okay, so we have pretty much finished weeding this area, and I was lucky enough to save this rose bush. It was a survivor from the weeds, so we have a survivor. And pretty much now is I got some stones to put back in, I've got some weeds to throw away, I've got more Fencing, I'm going to put that back up, and that'll do it today. I mean, you know, there's more weeds and stuff in here, you know, that I can just keep picking through. But you know what? I think it's going to be fine. We'll take a look at it tomorrow, the next day, and we'll monitor it like we should, and it should be just fine. And you know what I noticed is when I got here to the center, all these weeds, when I started pulling them out, that's where all the bugs were. They had all scurried to the middle. And then of course when I'm pulling them out, it's like all these spiders are running around and pincher bugs, and so you got to be careful. Because when you get to that last spot, that last area, that's when everything starts to scurry out. So, okay, so I've rigged up this circle fence around the tree and the rows, and we're going to use a rubber mallet to pound this in. We're going to use the right tool for the right job, and hopefully this little barrier will say, go this far and no further. And we can keep this inner sanctum here pure and clear as possible. Okay, it looks like we're done. We've put our garden stones back. We've got decorative little fences around our area, and our trees are ready to grow and receive the nourishment they need. Now the only thing we need to do now is add some water. So we're just gonna get some refreshing water in there. This is good. There's no weeds to suck up that water. The weeds have a life of their own. Weeds will suck up water and choke these good plants that are in here. And so now we're putting back this living water, this refreshing, cleansing water. Let's cleanse those stones off, make them look nice and pretty. Amen. I love this. So you can see my weeded area, and I'm telling you that when you weed your area, everyone else is going to notice, and they're going to say, hey, it looks nice. So keep seeking truth, and God bless everyone. Peace and blessings, and I look forward to another video.